They tell you that we're going to be looking at something that happened on Monday. If you watched main news 7:30 p.m., you would have watched the report that had to do with Olisa Metuh'S, former publicity secretary of the People's Democratic Party, being brought to the Federal High Court in Abuja on a stretcher. Well, you understand the case that has been going on between the EFCC, that's the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, and Olisa Metuh'S that started sometime in 2016. Olisa Metuh'S is being prosecuted by the EFCC for a fraud case that has to do with the tune of 400 million naira. Olisa Metuh'S and his investment establishment, Destra Investment Limited. And it's been said that that money is believed to be part of the 2.1 billion US dollars that is still much talked about, talking about the former National Security Advisor of the Federation, as it were, there. But just yesterday, Nigerians were perhaps, taken into shock, seeing somebody being brought to court in a stretcher. It was quite a funny scene for some people, and also for some people too, it was not funny because it was something that may have happened before. Well, that is not the issue we're even going to be looking at. We are going to be looking at this thing that has to do with this idea of trying to question the sincerity of institutions. When I say sincerity of institutions now, because when we talk about this Olisa Metuh'S case, we are also looking at the medical report that is said to have been brought to the court by the lawyer of Olisa Metuh'S, and also we're also looking at the judiciary too. Now, to some people, it is a kind of an embarrassment on the medical profession. I mean, for somebody to be on a stretcher to be taken to court, while for some other people, it is also an embarrassment for the legal profession. These are some of the things we are going to be looking at today on this program this morning on ITV. Privileged to have Mr. Money Mike Modesty here with us this morning on this discussion segment. Mr. Mike, you're welcome to the program this morning on ITV.
Advance, good morning.
Yeah.
Viewers, good morning, I hope.
Okay.
And wherever you're watching.
All right. Also, we're expecting Mr. John Osazuwa and Dr. Osahan Amayu to also join us on this topic here today. Now, Money Mike Modesty, that's a scene we just watched. It's in the first place, how do you feel about that thing? Let's start from there.
Well, emotionally, it's debilitating, and it looks like something that is not supposed to be.
Okay.
Morally speaking, too, one would have expected that so long as a doctor advice or letter from the doctors had already gone to court, the doctor's letter ought to have been respected. But maybe they had the feeling that Olisa Metuh'S is somebody who usually acts on film, according to them. While he was in the EFCC custody, there was a problem between himself and the EFCC, and some other things. But one would have expected the medical profession needed to have been respected by the court. That notwithstanding, I think this is not the first case I'm seeing.
Okay.
But as far as Nigeria is concerned, this is the first. Hosni Mubarak, then deposed the leader of Egypt, also came to court severally in this type of condition, even in the cage. So it portrays no minds above the law. But the next question is, all animals are equal. But there are those that are more equal than others. In Nigeria, there is no equity. In the justice system, no equity. In the executive system, no equity. The persecution, so to speak, in quote, because why I'm using the word persecution now, is not to denote that the alleged offense is still not existing. But because of the lopsided nature of the executive using EFCC to go about the issue of what do you call that, fraud and others, that's why I'm using the word persecution, and I have it in quotes. Let's get to the nitty-gritty of the Metuh'S case.
Okay.
Now, it's becoming an age-long situation now.
Yeah.
A matter that has been,
now.
Yes. Yeah. The then president was ordered by the court to come to testify as a witness. Until today, they have not been able to serve him. And I am told he's one of those people Olisa Metuh'S has mentioned. Dasuki, you will recall, is still in EFCC custody. despite the ECOWAS court judgment and other court judgments that favored him. Then let us now extract whether the present federal government and the EFCC is using the same yardstick in fighting the corruption war. Evans, I tell you, and I say it to all Nigerians and all those who are watching all over the world, that as far as I'm concerned as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I am not convinced that the present federal government is fighting the anti-corruption war with the same hand. Now, let me just give you some critical cases. It has become extremely obvious that when you belong to another political party and you had a case before, underline the word had, you had a case before.
Yeah.
The very day you cross over to the ruling party, that case vanishes. I will cite examples. Not too long ago, Oji Kalu, we were told they went to court and the star witness was nowhere to be found. Abanikoro has crossed over to APC and nothing is heard again. Many cases like that. Until recently when Obasanjo's letter bomb came out, the issue of Babacha Lawal was never mentioned. The NIA director today.
Obasanjo didn't write a letter bomb.
I know, listen now, you should decode what I'm talking about.
I know.
Obasanjo's letter bomb, in quotes.
And meanwhile, the letter we're referring to is still under kind of investigation too. I mean,
who is investigating Obasanjo's
when
letter?
I say investigation,
I'm not talking about Babajida's letter.
Sorry, not.
I'm talking about Obasanjo's letter bomb.
Yeah, go on now, yeah.
I'm entitled to my opinion.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I see that letter as a letter bomb. Until that letter bomb came out, the issue of Babacha Lawal was swept under the carpet. Until that letter came out, the CCT Code of Conduct Tribunal Chairman's case was under the carpet. As we speak, the former NIA director's case is not heard anywhere. There are a lot of allegations against the chief of staff to the president. Nobody is hearing anything. As I speak, the report, the Obasanjo's committee report on Babacha Lawal and NIA director is in the cupboard of Mr. President. Nobody has seen it. It has never been released. Hold on. I'm telling you about the lopsidedness.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, forget about procedures. The issue of Mina, are you not here? Are you not the living witness of the issue?
Yeah, we know, but there are procedures.
When you say a white paper ought to have been issued. Have they issued any white paper? Why did they not issue white paper? If you are not a witch and you behave like a witch, what will you be called? So if President Buhari says he's pursuing corruption, he's fighting corruption, and there are elements of corrupt persons around him, and he's not taking action, President Buhari's administration is corrupt.
Anyway, that's your own opinion anyway.
Yes!
Now, let us not try to leave the main point now. Now, we're looking at Metuh'S case. Now, remember Metuh was said to have attended a PDP convention, you know, and we're told that in that convention that he danced, he even punched and all that. Now, they send Metuh now that his lawyer is saying that he's not too feeling fine. So, I think we also need to look at it from the angle that Metuh may not have also follow due process, in the sense that as at the few times that he was invited to court, some reports have it that he kept on dodging.
Dodging?
Yeah.
And why was he dodging? Is it that his counsel was not telling the court why Metuh was not in court? He has a counsel who represents him in the court. Even when they have to put him into prison van and others, Metuh didn't dodge coming to court when he was always in handcuffs. So if situation now arose in terms of health condition that may have made him not to be in court, he is entitled to seek his medical attention and make the relevant documents available to the court as excuse. The law allows that. So if that may be the reason why he was bundled the way he was bundled to court, like I said, nobody is above the law. Maybe the court felt there was a game plan somewhere.
Okay.
And the court decided to ensure that he sufficed in court so that his bail conditions will not be revoked. And he came in a stretcher. And the same court has also adjourned the case to March. Let's talk between now and March. Olisa Metuh recovers. He needs to go to court. That is the truth.
All right.
I am not saying by any means that whoever has run foul of the law should not be brought to book.
A new entrance into our discussion now is here, Mr. Osazuwa John, who is a lecturer with the Department of Political Science, University of Benin, here in Benin. Sir, you're welcome to this program.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
And also, Money Mike Modeste is here with us.
Thank you,
let me come to Jonas as well. The Metuh'S case is what we are looking at. On Monday, you saw what happened in court, whereby he was taken to court in a stretcher. And Nigerians are trying to justify or trying to look at this issue, you know, that there seems to be these doubts among institutions. In this case now, we're looking at the medical profession and also the legal profession. So let's start it up from there before we further build on what we're talking about. I'll start with you, James, as well.
Thank you very much. Frankly speaking, it will be most adequate at this period of our democratic growth and development that citizens, the electorate, you begin to now know and learn that we have 3 arms of government, that it is the 3rd arm of government as contained in Chapter 6 of the 1999 Constitution as amended is what is on the way. Therefore, Metuh'S case is not an extraordinary case. Metuh'S case, that why it is being celebrated, perhaps this is as a result of our nature of political culture. Nature of political culture in the sense that wherever you have a political icon, a political gladiator, you know, being in charge of facing a litigation, and you begin to now find people quarreling. No. You see, when a political gladiator comes into the court, they begin to agitate and elicit certain medical illness to truncate or to slow down the legal processes. Nigerians should remember that Metuh, though in terms of health, should be pitied and should actually be pitied for his health situation. But this is not the first case in which Nigerians of his nature will be bringing up medical reports, medical reasons why they should not appear in the court. We've had cases whereby political gladiators such as Biziani have cancer, the other one will have leukemia, and so on and so forth. The major problem is procedural here, what I see. Procedural, this is from administrative law procedural. The counsel to Metuh ought to have consulted with the counsel to the EFCC or
but according to reports, report has it that he did. But the counsel to the EFCC said that they said that one, it was not received on time, and even if it was received, it was not properly filed in the case file.
That is the procedural or traverse we're talking about here now. You see, this counsel, the way, that's why they come to court to argue against each other. They are friends. These are sons. They are friends. They meet, they discuss. They ought to have settled this outside the court. It's as a result of too much delay that must or might have induced the judge to subpoena him to bring him to court. If it was fever that was worrying him or disturbing him at the earlier stage, bring the report. Fever can be treated. If it is malaria, it can be treated. If it is a Lassa fever, it can be treated. Bring the report to the court. You understand me? It is not when the court is about to sit that you now begin to now file. That is the procedural error that we are talking about. It hinders governance. The law court is government in motion. It's government in motion. So when you hinder it, it's going to hinder other people's cases. That might not be the only case that ought to be heard that particular day. It hinders it. So therefore, Metuh'S case should not be seen as a case in point that should be eliciting variegated public opinion. Rather, we should see it as a means, as a particular case that should set the judiciary in motion for our democratic growth and development.
Okay. Now, Money Mike Modeste, let's come back to you. You were of an opinion earlier on.
Yes, I will re-emphasize that nobody is above the law, and no matter the situation that is needed by the court, he needs to be brought to the court, and that was how he got there. And you know, I also mentioned to you, that's not the first case I'm saying. In Egypt, when the then leader was deposed, Hussein Mubarak, he was even brought to court in a cage. In a sick condition, very sick condition. Throughout the period of the hearing of that case, he was always there, inside the cage.
But is that not an embarrassment?
It's not an embarrassment. That is the law. That is the law.
Does the law state
as far as Egypt is concerned, and the offense he was alleged to have committed, that was it. But as far as Metuh'S case is concerned, we have also seen that there were procedural defects.
Yeah.
And now that was what led to the judge pronouncing that he be brought to court. And eventually he came to court. And the same judge ordered, return him.
Yes.
I have seen he's not in good condition. Return him. By March, let's meet again. If by March he becomes physically fit, he presents himself. I'm not sure Metuh, to me, is running from anything.
He has even submitted money.
Yeah, he's not running from anything because he has made some refunds. And secondly, you know, when he even needed to have be running, he didn't run. When he was always in handcuffs, you see him, he walks in as if there was nothing fishy. But now that his health condition is kind of deteriorating, in quotes, known or unknown, it is left for the law court to determine.
Okay, now if you say Metuh is not running, how come for the third time? 2 times he's supposed to have been in court. He wasn't there until this last time.
And what has been the excuses?
Yes, health.
That he has not been too fine. If they had filed the necessary papers and the 2 counsels had agreed on that day, they know there wouldn't have been anyone talking against the other.
At all.
Then the judge would have had his own way to say, okay, now that 2 of you have agreed, so let's take an adjournment. Is that not so?
Yeah.
It's just that the FCC counsels told the court that the papers were not properly filed, and which presumed that he was not aware. And in the face of the law was it also informed?
Very well.
So as we have it, I don't see it as a classical case. It is not. And let us not have emotional attachment so much to it. Though I have kind of tried to point some other areas of government's actions as far as lopsidedness. But as this particular case is concerned, let us not run emotionally. Emotion must not overrule. The rule of law should take its course. Even at that, until the court decides otherwise, that Metuh is guilty. Metuh remains innocent. Has he been pronounced guilty?
No.
The allegations are what are before the court. And are those not the issues the court is looking at?
Yeah.
Yes, until proven guilty, he remains innocent. So if he decides to say, I want to go for plea bargaining, which is also acceptable by our laws, then it's between him and the FCC. But like I also said, you know, a lot of things have gone under the bridge. I've mentioned a lot of examples. So that's a topic for another day.
Okay. Now, John Osazua, what lesson do you think we can really start drawing from this kind of scenario now?
Several lessons. Fundamentally, Nigerians should begin to realize that there is a legal arm of government. As a state, the legal arm of a state is what is being dramatized by the judiciary. And that Nigerians should realize that these 3 arms of government have their specific functions and responsibilities and even limitations. To this end, when a case is brought before a competent court of jurisdiction, Nigerians should respect that. To this end, the court should be seen as an agent of socialization. Again, litigant, particularly to the lawyers, I want to please appeal that despite the parochial nature of our political enlightenment and education, they should not be taking Nigerians for granted. They should begin to develop strategies in facilitating litigations, cases in the court, so that government in motion, as exemplified by the court, can begin to move in the same parameter with the judiciary, with the legislature and the executive. Thirdly, Nigerians should realize now that all Nigerians, particularly the patriots, have woken up to the clarion call of managing corruption. We cannot completely stop corruption, managing corruption, and for us to face our lives appropriately for the progress and development of all.
Okay, now let's look at some of the reactions that we have on the social media, talking about Metuh'S case. And we'll have this one from Kemi Ariyu. It says that Olisa Metuh arrives court in ambulance after Justice Oko Abang had insisted that he must be in court despite reports from hospital. And of course, we also have this one that says that it's nothing but a mere drama. You know, that's what that reaction is talking about now. And of course, we have this one that's from Orisi Risi. Okay, it says that it is an Orisi Risi drama, And also we have this one from Ike. It says that Olisa Metu is punishing himself with a neck collar. Now he's adding stretcher to it. Now that's another point again.
They're entitled to their opinions.
Because, yeah, apart from the fact that they are entitled to their opinions, because at times we also need to begin to look at the truth of what we are trying to establish. Establish in this instance, Olisa Metu is trying to, he and his lawyer is trying to establish that he's not feeling too fine. Now, before now, we heard that he had a vertebral column, injury. But if you watch the picture that we're watching now, you see Olisa Metu with a neck collar, a device meant to protect the neck. So what is the relationship between the vertebral column, problem, so to say, on his neck? So at times we also need to begin to look at this.
When you're talking about the vertebral and the collar.
In this case, you are not a doctor anyway.
No, even at that, let me tell you that these things, they run together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spinal cord.
Spinal cord controls everything. And the spinal cord gets connected to the brain. So if something is strong in any of the parts of the spinal cord, that's every tendency. Once the spinal cord is deficient, then the brain becomes deficient. And the neck mostly will be deficient. The entire body system will be deficient.
Yeah, dislocated.
For me,
distorted.
I am convinced, beyond reasonable doubt, that Olisa Metu is in a bad health condition.
Yeah, but I told you.
Now hold on.
Yeah.
Others are entitled to their opinions. Why am I so convinced? If he has made some financial returns, and all this while, he has been on bail, he has not jumped bail, and he will continue to enjoy the bail, so long as he continues to suffer the court.
Yeah, but the case is still on.
Why must the melodrama come in? Are you following what I'm saying? He's enjoying bail. It has not been revoked. Whether he's sick or he comes physically healthy to court, he's enjoying his bail. And the essence of the bail is that revocation will be if you don't meet the bail conditions. It will be revoked. And one of the strictest means of obeying is your physical presence in court. Is that not true?
It is true, but however,
if he comes to court and he's not doing anything contrary to all other conditions, then I'm not sure anybody has accused him of any other thing other than he's not in court and his lawyer is saying head challenges. And this has further been proven by coming in the stretcher. So if they have any other thing known, which is unknown to us, let them also say it in the law court. Then we'll also continue to look at it individually and collectively.
Okay.
But all the same, justice
must be done.
Must be done.
Okay. All right, John, as well, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say something. If you take a look at the pictures, under normal circumstances, you see these are not medical professionals that are pushing the stretcher.
They may be.
No. These are not. Look at them. These are not. What we're saying empirically, when a man, a Homo sapien, a sane or sick Homo sapien, is being stretched out, it is usually by medical practitioners. Particularly, they identify themselves with medical gadgets, medical clothing. These are politicians. That is why you find from the social media, they are atomizing it, epitomizing it as a mere drama. If it is a mere drama, it's so unfortunate. Metu, who has made an attempt to return certain amount, has shown greater remorse, should stop dramatizing or faking or deceiving, attempting to deceive the public
now,
or the
Mr.
law court.
As well, let us look at it one more time. In as much as we are not trying to celebrate Metu in this case, but the scenario we are trying to look at now has made the whole case more important than we ever thought of. Now, look at what somebody said. There's someone that was walking about a few days ago when his sister was celebrating her 50th birthday. And she calls him, he's a scam artist. Now, for Metu, don't you think that Metu is too popular of a person? That if some few days ago it was reported that he was seen with his sister celebrating, if he fell, let's say he fell, or he had an injury, I mean, we would have heard, either on the social media, in our news, none of this came. Only for us to see that on the day he was asked to come to court, he was brought to court in a stretcher.
Evans,
yeah.
Who saw him a few days ago with the sister celebrating?
People must have seen.
Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. Who
Okay,
saw him?
but even if he was not
The
seen,
person you saw
during the last
hold
PDP
on.
convention,
The person is it not possible?
during the
like
last
somebody you saw early this morning before leaving for work, you could be caught. God forbid. After this program,
very well,
and the person has passed out.
it's possible. But what we're saying is that
now,
somebody that is standing trial,
Evans.
I mean, reports would have had it that
Evans, hold on. We are humans. Let us be sensitive to a lot of things. For me, I do not see any need why Metu has to be dramatizing anything, like I've explained before. You are under bail. The court has not revoked your bail. The case is still ongoing. You have shown remorse and intention to make reforms. All you need to do is come to court. They are not towing you from court to the prison again because you are still enjoying your bail. Then why would you suddenly just want to be in an ambulance? You just wake up and want to be in an ambulance with a neck collar? Is that reasonable enough? Is he a baby? So logically, let's look at issue. A lot of reasonability. Everybody's entitled to his or her own opinion. But when you come objectively, you say, this man, nobody has said we are sending you back to jail. Nobody has revoked your bail conditions. We always say come to court. Oh, court you have been coming all this while. Now that when you were not even enjoying a bail, now you are enjoying it. Is it now you want to go and tie rope and something on your neck and start pretending you are?
Well, Money Mike Modesty, what is this thing? What is this thing with some of the people facing the anti-corruption charges in this administration?
Yeah.
Remember, Desiani Alison Madueke is said to have cancer.
Yes.
Fani Kayode with heart disease, and now
has Fani Kayode been running away from the courts?
Then now Olisa Metu with spinal cord injury.
Yes.
Now, what is this thing with these persons?
What of Menandi Esther?
Yeah, with these persons in this administration facing anti-corruption?
No, while they were in power, you wouldn't know their health conditions. Like the Ziani. Are you telling us that the government of UK will sit knowing that the Ziani does not have cancer? And this government of UK, knowing the relationship between UK and Nigeria, will allow the Ziani to remain there? I would not want her to be repatriated. You think the state government, the federal government would have filed for extradition? Let us look at these things reasonably. Then, Esther Nenadi, who had case with Fani Kayode on this issue of security vote, she has cancer. But the question you are asking is that why can't count of everybody is sick? It's possible they were even sick before this incident came out. Not that the daughter was at the point of death. I never knew that as good as she was to all of us.
Or can we say that
that daughter had cancer?
Can we say that it's probably because of the kind of persecution?
I wouldn't do a cancer, I'm not a doctor. Like Fani Kayode. Kayode has never gone anywhere. He's ready to go to the war front, chest with bare chest. And he has proven that the number of times he has been summoned to court, he has been there. The number of times he has been thrown to detention, he has been there. And when he gets his bail, he becomes more ferocious, vociferously ferocious. So what is it? Anybody can see. Let me also tell you that of all the entire population you see, you may be shocked that when you do a diagnosis of every individual, you will discover one ailment or the other. It's not everybody that's walking the street that is healthy. Meta-E-health is over 100 types. Meta-E-health is over 100 types. And I can tell you, without empirical records, that with the present situation in Nigeria, economically and otherwise, many Nigerians are mentally sick.
Yeah, but let us not join issues here.
I'm not trying to further explanation to you.
That's a separate thing.
Now, you see, there are certain factors that influences a judge's decision or any other authority's decisions. It is called the paradigm or the theory of coherence. From the social media we just read, Metu was celebrating.
He is said to have celebrated 50th
birthday.
Did you watch him on television? Let me interject you. Did you watch him on television?
That's probably the private.
Probability. These are probabilities. These are social media is not a sufficient yardstick.
No. Now, in terms of coherence.
But what about the PDP convention? He was seen there.
When was the convention held? Yesterday? Was it yesterday? Was it a week ago? Was it 2 weeks ago?
Anyway, let's...
Okay, for instance, somebody who is sick, who is hypertensive, may have taken his hypertensive drug in the morning, and may have gone to convention. You say he is perfectly okay, why is he in convention? And comes back in the evening, is overstressed, and falls off. Well, you will say he was in convention dancing. That is not a sufficient yardstick. Okay, anything can happen anytime,
okay,
any day.
As we plan to round up now because of time now, John Sazwa, you wanted to say something, yeah?
The law of coherence simply defies Metuh'S case. If he was saying a few days, celebrating, and the other day he complained of having a cerebral issues. I don't want to call it a problem. It's a problem, he will be paralyzed. Issue. There is no coherence there. That defies the theory of coherence of truth and of fact.
In other words, what you are saying probably is that for the sensitivity of Metu as a person, and for the sensitivity of the case that is ongoing,
very well,
these same people telling us now that he's sick would have told Nigerians
beautiful
that this is
because he's a celebrated personality. He is a political gladiator. He has chains, league of well-wishers who ordinarily would have announced to the world of his domestic accident. He didn't fall from the sky.
If there was any.
If there was any.
Yeah.
That is why I said his case has defied the theory of coherence. There is no coherence in the argument. Just was the medical report from a public hospital.
Yeah, from a hospital in Newe, according to the counsel, the late counsel to Metu.
Good. That is probably the reason why the judge had to say, okay, let him go. But what we are saying
because
is...
the judge was convinced beyond reasonable doubt that that man wasn't a bad condition. But the judge also would have had the authority to refer him to a national hospital for examination.
He might have done that.
And that
he might have done that.
A report within 1 week.
He might have done that.
To the court.
He might have done that. He might have done that. But what we are saying is that it's because this is ITV is a great station that entertains and educates people.
Yeah,
and
thank you so much.
This is a platform for us to begin to educate. You see, we Nigerians from socio-political culture, we've developed that habit of saying convenient lies. Convenient lies. This affects our democracy. This affects our governance. This affects our social attitude. In other words, we should not begin. That is one of the other lessons that we should learn. Your coherence. What you say in the public and in the court should be coherent to bring out the truth. We lack the truth. We lack the doctrine of truth in the country.
Okay. Now, Money Mike Modesty, going by what he said now, there should be a sequence of truth in what we're trying to establish. Can you take it up from there?
What do you mean by sequence of truth? It's subjective. It's subjective. Okay. A man you saw dancing this morning and in the night had a snap.
I agree with you.
The questions I want to still repeat are: 1, is Metu not enjoying unfettered bail?
He is.
Then 2, listen. 2, has the court ever pronounced that Metu's bail, which has not been breached, was going to be revoked?
But they threatened.
Hold on, because he didn't come to court the last time. And to further buttress to the people and the court that he was in a bad state, he was ordered to be brought to the court and he came in stretcher. And the judge was convinced beyond reasonable doubt that this man is in a bad state. If he wasn't convinced, he had the prerogative to have ordered, take him in the next 1 week to the national hospital, examine him, send direct report to the court within a week. Who are we to start questioning?
If I may ask.
So objectively, I like looking at issues objectively. I earlier told you, Metu has to face the music.
Okay. Now,
I've never said Metu should not face the music.
Yeah, gentlemen, I'm so afraid that we may have to just cut it off on this discussion now because it's a developing story. So, by the grace of God, we're going to make sure that we follow it as it unfolds. Now, the next time Metu is going to be in court is going to be March. Is it March 14th or 15th now?
I can't precisely remember.
Because I read some say March 14th and some say March 15th. But in any case, the next time we see Metu in court, I think we should be able to take up the story from there. And
will Metu from the reasons adduced be fine at that material time? March. This is February. April, May. April.
March is next month.
Next month.
Yeah. Metu may even tell his lawyer, I want to go to court on the stretcher again. Let him see that I'm
what we are saying.
Don't forget, we are in the low court.
Yeah.
This case is not the Supreme Court. Why to be said because it's the Supreme Court, Metu is playing drama. Metu still has Court of Appeal.
All right,
Metu still has Supreme Court.
It's spinal cord oriented. A cerebral oriented type of illness. It's not an illness. Very soon, I don't want to predict that for him. I'll be talking about insanity.
Okay. Well, let's just hold it here.
I pray for Metu to be present in the court.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
You can extend a handshake.
No.
And we'll just see how we're going to follow up the story. Well, we'll take a short pause now.
Is live 24 hours. You can watch from any part of the world on Roku TV for your favorite programs, news, current affairs, and lots more. You don't want to miss our objective and balanced reportage, entertainment, and sport. Watch ITV from any part of the world on Roku Box channel, buy your box online, or at Curry PC World, Maplin's store. To be in tune with happenings at home, stay glued to ITV on Roku TV. For advert placements and other inquiries, contact the following numbers: +447 946 720 668, +234 805 563 8573. Independent television, certainly the best.